Welkom bij Naklap, een podcast van Breedbeeld waarin we dieper ingaan op het traject dat filmmakers hebben doorlopen van het prille begin tot nu. Hoe is de liefde voor film ontstaan en waar bevinden ze zich vandaag? Deze aflevering draait rond Pittaluga. Deze half Franse, half Italiaanse filmmaakster is een aantal jaar geleden naar Brussel verhuisd. Ze is niet verbonden aan een filmschool, maar wel gebeten door het filmvirus. In 2021 won ze de No Film School Award op het Breedbeeld Kortfilmfestival met haar film Sunday Nostalgia. In al haar werk spat het plezier van het scherm. Ze legt daarbij sterk de nadruk op het samen creëren met een hecht team. Ze maakt werk aan een hoog tempo, zowel fictie, docu, muziekvideo's als korte reclame. En in 2019 richtte ze haar eigen productiehuis Enfant Terrible Films op. Zelf zegt ze daarover: "As no one was inviting her in, Ila stepped in the movie scene with the sole goal to turn everything upside down." Hello, Ila. Welcome.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
I try to say hello in Dutch if you didn't notice, but hello. Sorry. Thank you so much for having me here. How are you?
Yeah, great. Just as a first question about your film career, this mission statement to turn everything upside down, how is that going so far?
It's going. We are turning every day things. We're turning a lot of things. No, it's. I guess it's something that makes me want to go forward. Just the excitement of knowing that everything I can potentially put on screen can actually have an impact around me, or even just on myself sometimes. It's really extraordinary. I'm very lucky to do the job I do, and I'm very grateful, and I'm having a lot of fun. Did I change major things right now? I'll let you know in a couple of years when I look back. But for sure, I'm enjoying the ride. Yeah. And also when I found it kind of like motto sentence, I thought it sounded so cool now that you said it out loud. I was like, okay, yeah, yeah.
It's a good sentence.
Thank you. Very nice to say that.
All right. So maybe you just mentioned about how things are going right now. We can switch back a little bit in time and go to the very beginning of where your love for film started. Maybe because on your Instagram page you mentioned that you're that friend who's always filming at parties.
Oh, yeah.
Was this actually the case? At what age did you...
Were you that annoying friend?
I mean, I've been annoying at times, for sure. I'm not gonna lie. I did kind of force myself into, not myself, I forced my friends into being in my films, and my family, and my grandparents, pretty much everybody around me at a young age. But I also do think, in my defense, I'm gonna ask them and let you know, I actually think it's cool to have images of my friends and I when we were 14, 15, because we looked we were kids, full of pimples and crazy hair. And it's actually a good memory to see how far we've just gone. Very proud of the people we were becoming one of the things that fascinates me the most about films is really how you can freeze time. It's like a little bubble, and then you capture it, and then you can watch it over and over. And I'm not a photographer, although I have a lot of respect for photography, and I feel this link. What I really like about films and videos is really you can, hear the voices and look just how people moved. And it's something it's that extra thing that made me attracted more to films than to pictures, for instance. But yes, I'm always filming, all the time. But it's fun. Just yesterday, I backed up my entire 2021 on my hard drive, and then it's there. I'm like, hey. And when I look back, if it doesn't leave me, if it doesn't die, I can always look back, and it's kind of cool.
How far back do the videos go? When did you start recording randomly, or with the goal of capturing and freezing time?
Yeah, this is a good question. I wish I could have gone further back. I guess also I'm 27, and when I was younger, kids my age, kids of 10 years old, didn't have a smartphone. We didn't have huge technologies, and my family was never the film camera type of family. You have these families that have that had the Super 8, and then they had the Handycam, and then they had the point and shoot. My family was more pictures for sure, but not films a lot. So the real first camera I borrowed, I was 14.
That's early.
Yeah, so I borrowed it from a man had like this orange red van that then I used in a parody of Twilight, if you know the reference. If you know, you know. I'm not gonna deep any.
It's a weird start of the story when you say, I was 14 and there was a man in an orange van and there was a camera.
Yeah, no. It was
Are you okay?
I'm okay. I went through my childhood, right, with the usual dramas and traumas, but I'm good. No, he was a friend of my dad, and he had this van and a film camera. I mean, a Handycam, high 8, Super 8. So like, not VHS, but people call it VHS, whatever, to simplify it. And I borrowed both his camera, and we filmed an entire, I don't know, it must have been over 20 minutes parody film of Twilight, because we were 14 and that was the time, and we had fun. We just recreated the entire scenes, and then, if you know, Bella has this, I can't believe I'm talking about like Twilight when I talk about my
Yes.
departure.
Busted, but please continue.
Yeah, anyways,
Start somewhere, yeah. You know?
yeah, you gotta start somewhere.
And so this was where exactly? In Italy, in France? Where did you live before?
All right, so I don't know really how to like give an example here that you could relate to it. So I really lived on the border, meaning every day I would pass through 2 to 3 different borders, because I was literally on the Italian side of the border, but I would go to French school. But it's literally like, I don't know, like from like Brussels to Mechelen. It's like really close. And yeah, and I would just like drive. And then when I got older, I also like went up to Monaco, which is, if you didn't know, it's another country. It's not France. So it's everyone around where I lived and grew up crosses like 3 borders a day. And of course, because in Europe, it's not as problematic anymore. You can freely go. So that was on the border. I'm pretty special. In Belgium, I'm like, but where I'm from, everyone is like me. We all like half and half.
However, you moved to Brussels. What made this move? Can you?
I've been very privileged. I got like good education. I first left pretty early. I think I was 16, 17. I went to the US for a year to learn, like to speak English and stuff. And I think in Belgium, I have way more friends that do this program. They just go abroad to learn a language. Where I come from, it was a little bit more, unusual. And then, I don't know, I came back and, yeah, I mean, there's something very romantic of the town I grew up in. It's a small town. It's very calm. It's gorgeous. The food is good. It's sunny. It's south of France, right? But then I needed more. I felt somehow trapped. I would often I refer it as a golden cage, south of France and this whole area, because for some people it's a little more complicated, you know, if you're not conforming to the norm. In my case, being a queer artist, being a woman that has like inspiration and like aspiration to do more with her career, it's a bit more complicated. Although I'm still one of the most privileged kids, right? But like, it's just like, I'm happy to go back, of course. And it is like, I still call it home. I was thinking about it the other day. When I say I go to my parents and say, yeah, I'm going home. But actually, I made Brussels more my home today than it is south of France. Yeah.
And how did movies or like film did it play any part in this move and staying in Brussels? And
absolutely. Yes, I have a lot of inspiration when it comes to images and colors and lights when I think of south of France. But practically, at least on my experience, probably, you know, again, the family I come from, not having all of the resources or contacts, it was very, very difficult for me to make films and have like a platform beside the internet, right? But like having a platform to meet people and show my films and work with people. It is probably because it's like the Riviera, it is like La Provence, it's not a capital city or a big city at all. But just, I don't know, if either on one side, there's the mentality that has this maybe like blockage, but also just the possibilities. If you don't have the financial status, just the financial availability, you cannot like make films. Whilst when I moved to at least Brussels, I made friends, of course, right away, and friends that were in the same industry. We skated together first, then we made films, and it was just like, we like this, let's do it. We want to like turn things upside down, whatever that meant back then. When I found out this,
Like you turn upside down a skateboard.
right. That's it. You're right. That's where it comes from. But anyways, and then I just came here, and things felt easier for who I was, for the messages I wanted to work on, for the films I wanted to do. And
How old were you when you arrived here?
so it was already 4 years ago. So I was like, 24-ish, something like this. 24. But then I have like the 2 years of COVID that were really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But still, it's a pretty, let's not say late age, but did you study already? Like do stuff all in France?
Mm-hmm. I come from a family that wanted me to have a real education.
Okay.
I mean, again, I'm like super grateful for my parents. They really give me, in the Maslow pyramid, they give me everything I need for and a lot of love. So they're awesome. I love them very much. But my mom is a teacher. My dad he grows cacti. And actually, it's like an upbringing, even like in family history, they came from nothing. It's the type of family that they worked the whole life, no holiday, everything to just have a good family and provide. And I respect that. I think this is very honorable. They did a lot for my sister and I. Both of us, we had equal opportunities. And yeah, they worked hard, we worked hard. And I think this is something that really helped me in creating Enfant Terrible, really this work ethic from my grandparents to my parents. And I think there's really this like work hard, play hard kind of thing. No, actually, that's not true. It's not true. I think I play harder thanks to them. I don't think they got to play hard. Mm-hmm. And I can feel it as an adult, but I'm in no position to judge. But then, and then from there, I just wanted to build things. And this is why I came here.
You mentioned a place that, like Jurassic Park was your first movie that you saw and you wanted to direct. Mm-hmm. Why was this the case? And what was your love about films and making movies? Where did this...
I mean, I think I am definitely a Spielberg kid. I'm one of those kids that watched his films like, oh my God, I want to be a filmmaker like him. I love dinosaurs. I loved it so much. I actually wanted to be a paleontologist for the longest, not the longest time, but during my childhood when I was a child. And then very young, my mom was like, again, going back to the family structures, like, there are no more bones. There's not going to be jobs for you. You need a job that
No
makes you
more
money.
bones.
So, and then you come up with being a
right.
filmmaker.
She's like,
good
you brought that on you.
Yeah.
I guess so, yeah.
So how did you learn to make movies?
Right.
What did you do?
I was on YouTube and I watched these two siblings, these two sisters called Hilly and Hannah Hindi, and they have the Hillywood show. I don't know if it rings a bell. That was like 2011, 2010, something like that. And they made these parodies, starting from Pirates of the Caribbean to Harry Potter to, of course, Twilight, and they went on, and they really now are in the Comic-Con and like fan base of. They really are super good in that, and I just saw how they made films, and it seemed so fun and easy. I thought back then, lol. And then that's the first time I really brought my friends together. Back then, I had it was called Pittaluga. It was this girl and I. We merged our last names and to create Le Pittaluga, and we made this again Twilight parody. Yeah. And really, that was a bit of the ingredients, the recipe I did for a bit, and I just like made films with friends, and this is how I learned. From there on, I went into school, not into film school. Like I said, I needed a real degree, so I did marketing, I did business.
Okay.
Yes,
right.
And from there on, I always had like summer internships, and all of my internships were in film companies, production houses, and ad agencies. And everything I could learn from, I was just like absorbing everything, the production style, how the director would speak to people and all. And this is really how I learned, because that's what I had access to. I was always there. I remember in the small town where in this village, actually, where I grew up. It's called Grimaldi. They reused a big street to recreate a scene in the Grace of Monaco film,
Okay.
and because, of course, for politics, they couldn't actually shoot in Monaco. They recreated everything. And so I remember the whole crew came there and the actors, and it was so fancy and it looked so good. They painted over like the street signs, and it was like a big deal. Nothing happened like much in Grimaldi anymore. So, and every time I walked up to the crew, it's like, hey, can I help with anything? Of course, I said no. But I just learned through internships. That until university, I came to Belgium, Brussels, because I finished uni. That was my marketing degree. Then I worked 1 year in an agency. And then that was I finished bachelor. I worked 1 year. I made some money on the side. Then my parents were like, again, hey, it'd be nice to have at least like some more safety. Wouldn't you like to do 1 extra year of school? And I did this entrepreneurship degree, which helped me a lot because then I also had another project called Precious Films. I was like, yeah, awesome, let's do that. It's really interesting. So I'm going to learn how to like handle and manage my company.
Yeah.
And it was like 6 months in Milano and 6 months in Brussels, ULB Politecnico e ULB Solvay. And then actually by the end of the semester, Precious Films died out because the project finished like that. I was like, okay, I did this entrepreneurship program and now I don't really have a company anymore. But towards the end, Enfant Terrible was born again. It was like a more creative, definitely, and social concept I wanted to develop with Enfant Terrible. And then I stayed in Belgium. I stayed in Brussels. I actually worked a bit in Antwerp.
Okay.
I was an intern. My internship for that end of the year was in Caviar. So I was PA, production assistant, slash everything you need me to do person. But yeah, and that's how I learned a lot.
So this is what you do now in daily life. You work, you do internships, and on the side you make movies, or it's really the way you live now?
The way I live now, the way I try to live to survive today. I'm full-time, so I finished my studies, like in end of 2018. Yes, and I got a very good job, very good first job as a producer in an agency that made, let's say, campaigns for the European entities. And from where I come from, it looks amazing, right? I'm French-Italian. Thanks to Europe, I managed to travel. I went to the States. I'm learning languages. I got a lot of opportunities thanks to Europe. My grandparents met through the border. What are the odds? That's crazy back then. It was a great first job, but then I noticed that politics was, of course, a big deal, like a big thing into that job. So in a way that was blocking any progress I wanted to bring within my art. So then I quit that job, that very stable job, and my mom was very upset about. And I started part-timing for Volta, which is a concert hall in Anderlecht in Brussels. Amazing place, a lot of love. I met a lot of musicians also with whom I collaborated with, during these 2 years and a half. And just 1 week ago, I finished my adventure in Volta, still with a lot of love in there. And I'm full-time Enfant Terrible. So right now I'm like,
You have your own business, you make your own movies, you decide everything yourself.
Yeah, and the idea was to have a collective. But then COVID happened and my friends and I, we needed to get jobs and actually to make a living and pay rent. So the collective idea kind of dissipated into hey, let's do things the way we can, let's carry on. We all got some jobs. And I had Volta through that support from Volta emotionally and also financially through all this time. And I learned a lot. I met a lot of people. It was awesome.
So if I may, this is interesting because you mentioned you founded Enfant Terrible Film and with an idea of making movies as a collective.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain some more? What do you mean exactly by this?
Yes. So I think the great thing from where I stand today, from going to film school, at least to me, the most attractive thing today seems that you make a lot of connections. You get off film school and you know a lot of people, and you need a gaffer, you need a DOP, you need like an editor, like anything, you know who to go because you went to school with. In my case, it was different going to film school. I am kind of social, and that's like, it's actually just luck, because we live in a society today that if you're too shy, no one is going to be there, take your hand and like walk you through things. So I was just very lucky to be like this, although I do think that is one thing that you need to develop if you're in the industry, even more though if you're a woman, and if you're not in all the boxes that have most privileges. And yeah, the idea of collective really attracted me. I had some buds I met through skateboarding, and we were starting to make some cool projects. And we were talking, hey, how about... It was very premature though, like it was literally the beginning, the first few months. I think there's something very enriching in cinema altogether to work in a crew. And it's not to bash the whole YouTube culture. I think one man, one woman show is a possibility that some people feel comfortable with, and I think it gives access to some people that cannot reach for many reasons, other things. But I really like to work with people. I really like having somebody even disagreeing with me and discussing things and finding new ideas. I think this is very enriching. So that was the initial idea. I wanted to like talk to people, like-minded people, or even different-minded people. I think this is also very important, that don't have the same experiences, because I'm not going to be able to tell the story of somebody I'm not. So working with people so different from me would have been amazing. But that thing, again, like kind of like died out with COVID. RIP. But it didn't prevent me from working with people of that sort, artists that think like me, that have... Okay, to me, I think what's important is working with people with similar values and ethics.
And similar values, but working together to tell the stories you come up with? Because it's like Sunday Nostalgia, for example, is your movie, right? Mm-hmm. It's a story that comes from your life.
Yeah, indeed.
So, and all the other movies you make with Enfant Terrible Film, are they your films or the films of
the collective?
The collective.
Yeah, pretty much from the beginning, it became mostly me as a director. I would like to keep an option for a near future, more or less, to have multiple minds. And I think that's great. I think that's like a secret, a bit of success, to have like to build something cool together, to have a synergy. So far, though, it's true, because of COVID, we didn't reach that point. We were, I worked a lot with a friend, Simon Dancel, and he was at the time very much interested into camera work and directing a bit, but more into camera. Today he's a gaffer, right? He's a very talented gaffer. So we really evolved a bit. So even though at the beginning we were more prone maybe to experiment, because the collective thing never really could like bloom. Yeah, it went up me, like the real structure really became me as a director, and a lot of producing as well, especially at first. And then like hiring friends and other crew members to work on a project like Sunday Nostalgia.
Okay.
But nevertheless, for Sunday Nostalgia, I worked with all of them, became friends, or were friends already, or just stronger friends. And we really like enriched the story together. So that was great. I worked with Alexi, the DOP. And he did amazing work, camera work.
Yeah, talking about this camera work, this is maybe interesting because you choose to shoot a lot of your films on 8mm or 60mm or Super 8, which is not evident since it's very prone to mistakes or going wrong. Yeah. And as a person, no film school, doing everything yourself, it's your own business. Why this choice to do it this way?
Yeah, it sounds like a fake good idea now that you put it like that. Again, I do think what fascinates me the most of films is really this I don't know, the Sunday nostalgia. I think really, if I really had to juice out what I like of films is really all in that movie, although I grew out of it. I mean, it's artistically, technically also, we all grew a lot from that project, but
Maybe can you explain what it's about?
Yeah, so Sunday Nostalgia is a short film, 8 minutes long. I don't know, we shot it, I think in the summer 2020, in between the two main lockdowns. And the core feeling of it, the core story is when it's that moment in your life when you understand that a period is over. So it's one of the last night you're gonna spend with that specific group of friends, because you know the day after, or the week after, the month after, you're all living abroad, you're all getting a new job outside town, or life is gonna change. And I've had it a couple of times in my life, and I don't think it's only coming of age. Even now, as an adult, I get that. When you, of course, when you finish high school, for instance, the last few days, you can tell that momentum, that thing in the air that is like, oh my gosh, like, it's gonna be over. These people, I see their faces every day and it's gonna be something else. Or, you know, I moved a couple of cities and a group of friends, I could tell it couldn't be the same anymore because we couldn't be physically together. And yeah, even the last year of master of school I did here in Brussels, it was an amazing class. It was an international class. So a lot of kids went back to, you know, Latin America, Asia, like Northern Africa. Like it was very like everyone went back home. And one of those last night we went to Madame Moustache in city center of Brussels, and we really stretched that night until like 6 a.m. We ate at Haddad's house and we went to take some breakfast, and yeah, it was magical. And so I wanted to put that feeling into in movies, and it made sense to me that sort of nostalgia comes on picture, like on millimeters, on 16 millimeters, something that you can almost touch with your eyes.
It's often connected to memory, or it's like when you think about your memories or your most cherished memories, it's like you're looking at a 16 or 8 millimeter,
For sure.
like momentary flashbacks, light coming in or out. You know, it's like a movie. And I had the feeling with that film as well. Yeah, it's really well communicated.
Thank you.
I think, yeah.
And coming to the cost of films, we did have a Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah,
sites.
money.
Crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding, love crowdfunding.
Well, if you have an ensemble or like a collective, you must love crowds as well. No?
Yes.
But no, you didn't only do this for Sunny Nostalgia, but also for like previous projects, like a movie called Leather, which also got to some festivals.
Yeah. Leather was a good project, and that was because it was a Super 8 challenge. So it was with, what it's called? Straight 8. It's called Straight 8. It's a competition, a British competition, that basically you shoot your film on a Super 8 magazine, and then you blindly send it. So meaning without any development, without seeing it, because of course you can't see it because it's on film. Yeah. And then you also need to send an audio that goes with it and somehow sync it. So I can't tell you what we went through to make it work. And then you discover it with everybody together, because for the first time you watch it and you discover it with the audio synced for the first time at once. It's a crazy experience, and I really enjoyed it.
So hold on, you shoot this on 8 millimeter?
Yeah.
Shot per shot?
Yeah.
In a sort of, you storyboarded it, I assume, to know where you're at some point. You record audio separately. You send both packages to the organizer and they sync it.
Exactly.
And then that's your film.
That's her film. Kinda. I mean, until you see it, but it is. So yes, you shoot it. We shot it chronologically, of course. And then we it was crazy. Honestly, we didn't do, of course, Miskin, we didn't do any tests. We didn't have like a regular camera next to it. Yeah. We really went like freestyle, like we like it in Brussels. And we recorded everything. We just knew how. I knew that a magazine is around 3 minutes 30, and then we just we knew how much each sequence.
Segment. Oh, yeah.
And
When you make up your stories, or like you decide which kind of movie you want to make, and you want to do this on Super 8 or 8mm, you're limited in time because it costs money, but also you're limited in the length. Do you think about stories knowing about this length minimalization, or how does this creative process go?
Yeah, that's a great question. And yes, I think when you do not have all the financial facilities, I guess, you really need to know what you can work with, and you kind of build, I mean, it's ugly to say it like that, but you do build your story around your limitations. If you know you can't do a crazy sci-fi films with like crazy super effects, then of course you're not gonna do something going there without wanting to look a bit like a B movie, which is totally fine, of course, if you want to, but okay. So yes, all of the stories, all of the films I shot so far were within the things I knew I could, pull out, I guess. Yes, I mean, one day, of course, like I'm currently actually working on a sci-fi films, which I would like to actually have good visuals. I'll let you know how it goes.
Okay.
But before that, all of the work I've done as a teenager, I did some. Okay, enough with the Twilight. I also did a Skins parody, and if you know, I mean remake. So if you know Skins, I mean that's like already like a step above. I'm really a Skins kid. I really grew up through that TV show. Did a lot for me. And yeah, you just like, and then Sunday Nostalgia is the story of my friends today. Then I did like Leather, which is the story of a real story of a friend that happened to her. And all of my main films talk about my life or my friends' lives, because definitely practically is what I can also work on. It's very hard for me to like go beyond the mediums I have available. But
this emotional connection to stories of your own life or your friends' lives is very important to you when crafting a movie.
Yes, I don't know what you think about it, but I do feel like when I create, I have to relate to the story. If I make something, I need to be able to know what I'm talking about. I wouldn't feel at place talking about something that I'm not part of. One big project that I've had recently was a documentary on ballroom. So you want to Vogue, huh? I've been asked by For All Queens.
Can you explain ballroom?
Yeah, so ballroom comes from a community back then in New York, back in the 80s, queer, black, trans community, femmes, and the way of expressing themselves was to just reunite, and they were performing and being creative and being artists, and they really like grew into that. Today, people, when they hear Vogue, they think of Madonna, but it was a lot of appropriation from that culture. And now, like lately, thanks to the TV show like Pose, or even more visibility on the ballroom scene, a lot thanks to For All Queens and other great associations and collectives and visitors around the world that are proud of who they are and defend who they are, is great. It does a lot of good for a lot of people. They are superstar. They're safe in that world, and we worked on a documentary also to educate people about it. Mm-hmm. So again, I was more of the visual facilitator in that project.
And how did they get to you?
Right.
You must have had the same question.
Yes, I worked before that with Promise, which is a half Brussels and half Antwerp duo. It's two amazing artists. And I worked with them on a video clip they did with Promise and Emma Bale, which I shot on film, of course, thanks to
what else?
the great financial things I have in my life. No. For All Queens first contacted Promise, which is also, they're queer. But they saw my work for Brain back in the days, and they thought, and I still thank them for that, to refer me to a better available person to take part of the project.
Quite an honor, yes.
Yes, it was. It's very It's one of the things. It's one of the projects that definitely made me grow a lot as an artist. Also, the thing of, am I? What's the word? I always forget this word, but am I supposed to be the person to tell this story? You know, like I am a cis white person. I'm an artist, and I know through films. To me, making films is very political. The people you work with, the people you put in front of the camera, the people that are behind the camera. You know, today is more than ever, it's becoming more and more important. So working on a project like, I felt absolutely wonderful. It was a great collaboration with For All Queens and the whole cast and crew, the talents. It was awesome.
Did you edit the film yourself as well?
No. So that was Ember, and she also won an award for it. So.
Yeah, because the editing, the first 3 minutes are visually dazzling, I think. It's really amazing. Yes. But it does also refer to your own, to your earlier work, because you often work with frame within frame. You alter between frame sides or sizes,
Yeah, you did your research.
Yeah. He made me do it. But and that links to that in a way. So it's you can really see it's your work, even though someone else edited it. And
it was awesome. Ember was crazy good. Like we rewrote all of the dialogues because it was like a semi-fiction documentary, meaning we did build a set. We did create the situation for So You Wanna Vogue, Huh? Zelda wrote all of that and prepared all of that, and the whole scenography was there. But she moderated, she directed the cast into talking to each other, and that was not scripted. She was throwing the themes, what she wanted them to talk
in
about.
In the moment.
When there's the big conversation in the living room, but most of it is improvised. And then Ember she made us rewrite everything, and then we cut. Probably this is how people do it, but for me it was mind blowing. This, especially documentary, is crazy. It's crazy work. Yeah. And then we made a puzzle first on paper. Ember she moved everything upside down. The structure I initially had thought for the documentary was way more in chapter, I guess, and she really mashed up a bit more, which I think it works very well. Sure. And actually was one of maybe the first project I worked with a legit editor. And again, goes back to what I was saying. Working in teams is awesome. You have people that bring new ideas, fresh ideas, that have an objective thought of what they like or what they can suggest. And then as a director, of course, is having your clear mind, okay, but this is my vision. What do I let in? What do I compromise? Is this actually better than what I thought? There's a lot of ego going on.
Did you feel this is the next step for you? This is the first time you got asked to make something not starting from your own,
right?
Your own imagination or something. Did you like it? Is this the way to go?
Definitely, I'm happy I did it because Zelda was there, because it was a collaboration. And I could never see myself doing something I'm not, at least not alone, part of. Right after So You Wanna Vogue, Huh? I had some artist, had this artist contacting me, and they wanted to do a short film linked with the Syrian war. Something I'm absolutely disconnected from. I've never lived war. I don't know I cannot imagine what it's like. And again, I'm European, I'm white, it's a different world. So that I turned down. With Zelda, we did speak about it. It's also something that we were very open about it from the start of it. And that really was okay, I know where you stand, I know where I stand, I know my limits, I know how I can chip in.
This democratic way of working and this political way of working in your own projects, how do you manage to incorporate them?
Yeah. I'm definitely very proud of this aspect. I'm going to be very honest about it. It's something. No, but it's I'm very. It's not easy, right? It's like not eating Nutella. we all love Nutella. Let's not gonna lie. The fake good Nutella, eco Nutella, it's not as good. But if you eat Nutella, you're destroying the planet, right? It's like, what do you do? So to me, it's really the whole kind of life. It's a lot like the Nutella struggle, right? It's of course, sometimes it can be a bit more difficult. So yeah, sometimes you have to compromise. But if you do tell stories in a responsible way, if you do work with a crew in a responsible way, the results are there. I mean, it's been amazing for me. I've been on sets with amazing artists. Again, I think one thing that I'm very lucky about is that I'm not Belgian in a way, because I am not between the Flemish and Brussels-Wallonian discussion, let's say. So on my sets, we speak English. I don't speak, I try to learn Dutch, and then COVID happened and my classes were out. So I did try. And I am dating a Dutch speaker, but hey, whatever. And so the fact that, we have people from Leuven and people from Charleroi on one set and we all speak English, it's actually fun. It's good. Like, it's a different way of working sometimes, different communication. I do notice when there are more women on set, I'm not used to it. The energy, the way women ask for things, it is a bit slower. Things go a bit slower than when you work with more men, which I think it's crazy because I was on the set and we were mainly women, and it was a lot of time put into asking if it was okay. Is it okay if we can do this? I was like, yes, of course it is. And me coming from a more male-dominated bubble, I guess, my friends are mostly, the people I worked with mostly are men, cis men. It was always like, hey, do this. Hey, go get that. Hey, and it was like, okay. And it was like, oh my gosh, there's not only one way to do things. And there's not one best or one less good, just like there are alternatives. And it's just sad that we see over and over the same faces, over and over the same people making films, the same types of people making the same types of films. So yes, it's very important for me.
How do you see the near future or the long? What are your plans?
I definitely, my objective is definitely to go towards feature films. I like doing shorts. I just went to a workshop from Grain de Cinéaste. It's like this workshop on short films and how short films are a medium per se. There should not be a way to reach to the longer, whatever industry. Again, for me, I'm not gonna lie, I am using short films to reach out to the feature films because I don't go to film school, I'm no one, I am not the daughter of somebody, and I don't have a lot of money. So for me, really like peeking through short films is a way to be noticed, I guess, and to like enlarge my network, to reach out to, feature films. Enfant Terrible was like my Troy horse, I guess, into the film industry. Having this for me to like navigate on, and it sounds nice. Enfant Terrible.
We hope to see a feature film, a Super 8 or maybe an 8mm feature film of you in a short while.
All right, cool.
We hope you continue this way because we like the things you're doing, making great stuff. So thank you.
Definitely, and stay true to yourself.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you for being here and sharing your story.
Thank you.
With us.
Thank you for having me. I'm more comfortable behind the camera.
Yeah.
And I think really if you want to understand better what I was trying to say, maybe watching my films and criticizing my films and talking to me about my films is the best way for me to express myself. I don't know, I feel like a lot of filmmakers are great with words, great also script writers. For me, it's way more through images and feelings. And so I hope I said everything as clear as possible without going too much in thoughts.
I think we both felt it.
Yeah, cool. Of course. It was a very nice conversation.
Thank you so much for doing this. It's very important, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Ja, wie meer wil te weten komen over Ila Pittaluga als filmmaker, kan ook terecht op haar website enfantterriblefilm.eu. Daar staan heel veel van de films waar we net over hebben gehad, gewoon online te bekijken. Dus zeker checken, zou ik zeggen. Ook haar Instagram-profiel is zeer interessant om te volgen. Verder, Alexander, bedankt om de co-host te zijn voor deze aflevering.
Met veel plezier.
Mijn naam is Ben en graag tot de volgende aflevering. Dit was Naklap, een podcast van Breedbeeld. Volgende keer is Sarah Kazmi te gast. Deze filmmaakster volgde een opleiding op het TKO van Antwerpen en regisseerde inmiddels De Studio's en Kids on the Block, 2 reeksen die te zien zijn op VRT Max. Naklap van Breedbeeld. Je vindt ons op je favoriete podcastplatform.